What's going on, people? Welcome to Man Knows Football. You are here with Guni with some shitty lighting, evidently, as I've only just noticed now. I've been backstage with Matisse for the longest, so I don't know what's going on here. But yeah, we are here nonetheless to discuss the mighty Chelsea, up the Chelsea all day long. Me doing this, I promise you guys, I'm not giving you yoga instructions. I'm just trying to turn the brightness up on my lights. Yeah. So I can make my picture just that little bit better. Whoops, something's falling off my lights. How about I just start touching? Yeah. Let me just start touching things and let's just talk about football. That's what we're here to do. But listen, 2 Premier League games on the trot. We've got to forget about Europe now, separate competition. 2 Premier League games on the trot. We have got a draw. In my opinion, possibly in your opinion, and in many other Chelsea fans' opinion, this is a must-win game. Must-win game. We need to get 3 points. The Amex Stadium is not an easy place to go to. Brighton have been putting in good performances against the top teams. Although they lost against Manchester City, I do feel that had they had been more clinical in front of goal, they perhaps might have left with something there. So there's definitely danger in that Brighton team. But obviously, there are a couple of factors that do kind of give me comfort. First of all, is their record against us isn't the greatest. And second of all, we do have their most successful manager in their history that has recently just left their club, which may or may not give us a tactical advantage. But obviously, I'm here with you, Matisse. We are here to discuss these points, bruv. So how do you feel going into the game, first and foremost, bro?
I think it's going to be a really tough game, bro. Like, there's a lot around it as a fixture, and I'm kind of shocked that it wasn't moved to a live TV match, to be honest, because it's Potter's return, it's Potter's backroom staff return as well. You know, important to mention that we took all of their backroom staff, from the goalkeeping coach to the assistant manager, to the head of recruitment, and he knows that team inside out. Do you know what I mean? And they're a very good team, and they're very unlucky to have lost their last 2 matches. Brentford. Raya had an incredible performance on that Friday night, just man in a match display, similar to what Kepa had really done for us in some of the games. And Man City, they played well, but it's Man City, do you know what I mean? They went to the Etihad and had more possession. They had that great goal from Trossard. They played good football, but unfortunately, obviously, it's Man City, so that can happen. They're just more ruthless in front of goal. And we know Brighton could probably do with a top striker. You know, if you put Ivan Toney in that team, take him out of Brentford's team, put him in Brighton's team, and the way they play would be mad. So they're a good team, man. They're a good team, and Potter knows them inside out. So I don't know. I don't expect it to be a toxic atmosphere, because Potter's done a lot for that club, and I think it would be very short-sighted from them and a bit reactionary if they were to boo him or anything like that. But it's easy to motivate that Brighton team. You know what I mean? It's easy. It's easy to motivate them. Like, go out there and let's go and show our former manager, do you know what I mean, what it is. Do you know what I mean? What it's about. Yeah, welcome home. Yeah, do you know what I'm saying? So it's easy to motivate them, and even still, they're a good team regardless. So it's going to be a very difficult game, but we do have more quality than them. It's important to mention. When we do play them, we do expect to win. They took a point off of us at Stamford Bridge last season, if I remember rightly. Cucurella with the cross, Danny Welbeck with the header.
Yep.
And the reason why I remember this is because I was at the game, last minute equalizer, and Basuma ran that game, I think, as well at Stamford Bridge. He absolutely ran it. So yeah, so they're not easy. I don't think our away record is that poor. I'm not gonna lie and say I know it off by heart, because usually, obviously, I have these stats ready on the Friday for the press conference. But I don't think we have a bad record away. I can't remember too many L's that we've taken at their ground. But yeah, it is going to be a tough game, and we just need to go there with the right mentality. And I think for me personally, it's tough to think who we're going to pick team wise, because we saw against Salzburg a lot of attacking players outside of Aubameyang stepped up to a good level. Good play, good combination play, involved in things. Even Sterling for me was good. You know, he was able to pick up the ball with his back to play and do very well with it. You know, he was involved in that really great counter-attack that was created for Aubameyang. He was involved in receiving the ball and you know, and being able to kind of play with his back to goal, show that strength, show that side of his game. And he did that numerous times in that match. And there was some great combination play down the left as well. So a lot of attackers, even Pulisic, I thought in the first 20 minutes was the best guy on the pitch, really. The only one with the bravery, the dribbling. So I felt like everybody had a good day outside of a couple, maybe like a Aubameyang or someone who should have scored. But it's tough. Who do you pick? You know, I don't know. It's tough, man, because it's Salzburg and it's just a different type of match. So I'm not sure.
The only similarities I might see between, you know, the football Salzburg played against us and what we might see against Brighton is that although Brighton, you know, let's have it right, they are considered the underdogs in this game. And usually we do see teams that are considered the underdogs. They like to sit back and hit us on a counter attack. I do feel with Brighton being in the Amex Stadium, it is going to be a little bit more open. I think they are going to be a bit more brave. They have been attacking teams, and in particular, like the wing backs getting quite forward. Trossard, as we know, one of the danger men in that squad. You know, he's enjoying a bit of a goal scoring spree as well. I do think it will be an open game. My thing is us having Graham Potter an advantage because he was there for 3 years, and quite frankly, I don't think they've changed too much from their identity since he was last there. He understands the players. They haven't really changed much in terms of personnel. They've lost, if anything. Obviously, Cucurella was their player of the season last season. He's with us now. But from a tactical perspective, I feel Graham Potter is going to know their players. He might know one or two tricks up their sleeves and might instruct their players to do so. But then there's also the other side of it as well, is that those players also know Graham Potter's system better than the current squad that we have now. So for me, in my mind, it's a battle of between the two. Is Graham Potter going to tactically outdo this guy, or are the players going to sniff out what Graham Potter's trying to do in this game? So it's hard for me to predict what this game, which way this game's going to go. But what I will say is, though, if it is an open game, I would love to see some of that football that we saw in the first half against Salzburg. Just pinging that ball about. And the thing is, Matisse, it wasn't rocket science. It went from, you know, certain players holding on to the ball too long. We're getting pressed out of the game. They're not letting us really play out from the back. It went from that to, you know what, let the ball do the work. 2 touches, ping, 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 beating the press. Do you know what I mean? Getting that ball forward, just taking players out of the game of the ball, just that final product. Do you feel like we can see some of this coming up this weekend?
I hope so, because there's no reason why it shouldn't. I think for me, it's all about committing people forward. You know, these players for me are good players. Yeah. You know, I'm tired of every single time an attacker doesn't work out. Oh, he must be a scrub. Like, come on now, Sterling ain't no scrub. Let's be real. Do you know what I mean? This is Raheem Sterling. This is a guy that's performed on an international level. This is a guy that's performed in a Manchester City team. He wasn't a bench player. Do you know what I mean? He was a heavy. Look at the statistics under Pep. He ain't no bench player. Do you know what I mean? He was playing. He was a massive part of that team. So only really towards the end of his Man City career, they started to phase him out. So we ain't dealing with no scrubs. Do you know what I mean? We're dealing with players that ought to be playing well up front in that attack. If you tell me that you're going to put out an attack of Sterling, Pulisic, Aubameyang, and say Kai, I expect that to do very well. I'm not saying it needs to be the best in the league or even the top 3. Do you know what I mean? But I expect it to do business. I expect it to perform and be decent to watch. So I think for me, it's just about being able to get them in positions where they can combine, because there isn't individual brilliance, in my opinion, in the team to the level of like a Hazard, where it doesn't matter if you counter attack with just two players with Hazard, because he could skip past half of the team anyway. Do you know what I mean? So it doesn't really matter. I think these players, they need combinations. They need the give and goes that they got against Salzburg. And I felt like against Man United, we didn't really commit that many players forward. You know, Casemiro was incredible. He was man of the match. He was shutting down every transition, every opportunity we tried to move forward with the ball, like we did against Brentford, but it worked because we had loads of counters against Brentford with Armando Broja. We couldn't do it against Man United because Casemiro was just the enforcer. Do you know what I mean? And that's the type of player that we should have really recruited. You know, if we look at all the injury issues in midfield and everything, should have recruited a player like Casemiro. If we got our hands on a player like that instead of Man United, imagine what we could be looking at. Do you know what I mean? So I think for me, it's just about getting people, getting numbers forward, having those wingers, those real wingers out there, because sometimes we play with the wing backs and they get pushed back into a 5, and then you see Sterling defending on the right wing, getting stripped, absolutely stripped against, was it Aston Villa? You got destroyed out there.
Villa, I'd say also some parts of Salzburg early in the game as well, when they was pinning us back, they weren't letting us get forward.
So they're like the deciders in the system, because you could have them pushed forward as wingers, and then you're basically doing a 3-3-1 where you've got the wingers alongside Kai, and he's basically surrounded by nothing but options. He's got the striker ahead of him, he's got the 2 wingers, Pulisic on the right that him and Sterling were swapping, and then you've got the protection of Gallagher and Jorginho and Hove behind. Or it can flip if you don't dominate a possession, where those wing backs become fullbacks, and it's 5. Suddenly it's 5 at the back with 3 in, and it's 2.
And that's what I'm worried about against Brighton, because my thing is with that formation we saw against Salzburg is I'm okay with it if I know that we're not wasteful with possession, and we're going to be pinning the opposition's team back in their half for the majority of the game, being dominant. Because once we are hit on the counter, they do have quick players. They do have decent players in that midfield to assist the transition. Casado is one of them. McAllister, I believe, he's been on all right form for them as well. They've got dangerous players. They've got decent midfield there. But that's my only concern. So in terms of that, I personally would. Actually, this is actually a good time to go to this question. Big up to Duff. Do you think Chelsea needs to go back back to the back 4 to start with against Brighton? Now that's a good question, and that's something that I haven't even thought about. What I think Graham Potter is going to do are 2 different things. I feel my concern is that right side, which is why I hesitate to play that back 4. It's that right side that gives me concern, because I don't necessarily trust Azpilicueta as that fullback anymore. And it's the overcompensating that you have to do on that side that might hinder us going forward. Whereas I feel with the back 5, we can still protect Aspi or someone if they're playing, and still be able to get numbers forward. So that's why I'm not too sure about going with the back 4. But Matisse, what do you reckon?
Back 4 with the current injuries that we have. I mean, it depends on whether Koulibaly's fit, because I feel like Cucurella in the Premier League at left side centre back has been a little bit of a sticky one recently. It's been a little bit of a sticky one. Azpilicueta, I don't want to see him at wing back. So if he is going to play, then a flat 4 does make sense for him. I think Silva's going to have to play. Obviously again. So is Trevor, who's in great form. So I don't have a problem with that.
Yeah,
it's tough because Brighton are very flexible. Like they could push to a 2 up top if they want to. We've seen Pascal Gross play in a front 2 before. We've seen Trossard play up there as well. And if they do that and press the living daylights out of us, you have to ask, can we escape that press? Can we bypass that press with the numbers that we have back there? Or if they do go with 1 up top with just Welbeck and they sit off in maybe a mid block and they don't press as aggressively, which is likely as well, then maybe we'll have a bit more time on the ball. So I'm more thinking about the build-up play when we're selecting the back line and what our build-up play is going to look like. I think Jorginho against Salzburg, you saw with a couple of you saw the main transition. He was instrumental in that, receiving the ball from Trevor, popping around the corner. I feel like him and Cover will definitely start the match in midfield. It's just who you pair them up with. Probably Mason comes back into the team, you'd assume. So it just depends on build-up play. But do you know what it is with Brighton is that they're so unpredictable and they're so versatile.
Yeah.
And we're so unpredictable and we can be versatile depending on who's available.
Yeah.
I don't know what is going to happen in this game. I don't know.
It's a hard one to call, isn't it?
This is one of the hardest games to call tactically, because it's like Brighton are more than capable of stepping on our toes and playing on the front foot.
Yeah.
But we're capable of doing it too. And then Potter knows everything about them, but they've switched manager. And so it's like...
And there's also the factor that we need 3 points. that also for me plays into the fact that gives me some kind of confidence actually going into this game, knowing what's at stake here. Because let's have it right, we're fifth at the minute, yeah, albeit by goal difference, but Newcastle are sitting in fourth.
Yeah.
You know, that's an early reminder that, you know, if we continue
there's another team in this race.
Yeah, and yeah, exactly. And if we continue to drop points, it might be harder to get back into this fixture than what people think. Trevor Chalobah, yeah, I've got to give him a little bit of time, because this guy for me is an amazing player. He is brilliant. And you see what I love about Trevor Chalobah is he goes about his business quietly, does what he needs to do, never kicks up a fuss about anything.
Yeah.
And he just plays his football, and he's so consistent. The guy is so mature beyond his years. I think that's why. Do you know what it is? Yeah, I think that level of maturity that he has just bypasses people's thoughts. They just think this guy can't be as young as what he is. He's just so assured aerially. He's just dominant position wise. He's in the right place at the right time as well. You know, covering spaces. You know, if one of the defenders have pushed too far, he's there. He's always there. And some people have said, you know, Fofana and him are basically the same player. What was the point in signing him? Well, I'm not going to go as far to say that, because I still know, looking from a future perspective, there are still players that are going to be leaving. Thiago Silva, 38 years old. Azpilicueta, although he alternates between one of the centre-back roles and the wing-back, he's still going to be going. That's two defenders that you've got out the door, so you still need to have somebody in there.
Yeah.
But how important has Trevor Chalobah become to this Chelsea team?
Vital, because Silva's having to play every game. And Trevor is not only doing his job, but at some points in some of the games, he's even looking after Silva as well and making sure that he's all right. Do you know what I mean? Because the thing is with Silva is that he's been borderline perfection for 99.9% of his Chelsea career. Outside of like some little moments with West Brom, the guy has been untouchable.
Yeah.
But it's nice to know that it's not always him that's got to carry the load. Do you know what I mean? Because I feel like we really do take the piss with Silva. Do you know what I mean? Like, this guy's not meant to play every game. He's not meant to even have to play these little fixtures. Not this one, but, you know, like your home games to, like, I don't know, a Nottingham Forest or something at home. You know, he's meant to be saved for the big matches, for the big clashes, when you absolutely need him at all costs. But we use him like he's some sort of sponge. You know, like we use him like a sponge in the shower, fam. We just using and abusing this player like he's nothing. And it's like, for me, Trevor's job now is not only to and especially in that last game, he was basically like 2 or 3 players, because he was stepping forward when needed to be in the midfield, but he's also covering right back, because we didn't really have a right back on the pitch. Obviously, you have Gallagher, who's always gonna cover you, chip in and help and whatnot. And then obviously he's part of a back three that's going to have to shuffle across if Cucurella ventures, and we know Cucurella is a very, from what I'm clocking, he's a very he wants to assert himself and he wants to be aggressive. He wants to step.
He's great forward on the front foot, yeah. He
doesn't
defending on the front foot. I think he's brilliant at it.
He's not a sit-off type player. I think he won all of his ground duels. He doesn't sit off. He just wants, every time the ball is put into a certain zone in that left channel, he's straight out to it. So that means, again, you've got to cover and legislate for that. I think he's been brilliant, man. And I think, for me, it kind of just rubber stamps patience again with some of the players that we produce, because after his first season, he had a great start, and then he had a middle period that people were starting to be like, oh, see, this guy's average, man. He can't do this, he can't do that, because he was getting skinned a couple of times, 1v1, gave away a penalty here and there. But the quality shines through, man. Do you know what I mean? Once again. And that's what's nice to see. So it's the same trajectory as the Tomoris. It's the same trajectory as all these names that we talk about constantly. But you have to give them a season minimum. And 100%. Some people are not prepared to even give them their first season. And it's the same with Broja. When I saw him not pick out Mount for that pass against Brentford, I wasn't even that mad, because I'm like, bro, it's his first Chelsea season. He's only just turned 21. You have to be able to have the patience to wait for a player like that to progress. I mean, you could see the shades of Costa in him. This could be a potentially world-class striker we have on our books in the future. Instead of having to shell out 80, 90 million for somebody's finished product that comes over here and doesn't get the Prem. But you have to wait, because he's showing already physically he can handle it. He's showing technically with a bit of skill in that game, a little bit of skill here and there. Do you know what I mean? That he can handle it. He's showing that he can finish against Wolves. So I'm seeing more than enough signs that he can step up in the future, but you have to be patient. And I feel like too many times people have more patience for players that cost 70, 80 million, 4-5 seasons in. They'll have more patience for that player than they will for a player in their debut season who didn't cost shit and is not really a starter. So for me, I'm really happy with him, man. I think he's been brilliant. I really do.
I think with him as well is I didn't even think I'd ever say this, but you see when he's asked to step into the midfield, I trust him more than I do trust Koulibaly to step forward, because I feel when Koulibaly steps into that midfield to help out, he's very rash in his decisions and he doesn't like to panic.
But this is where Koulibaly's not Rudiger. For me, Koulibaly's at his best when he's sitting there marshalling and just spraying passes. He can
pass. Basically, it's a central centre back. Yeah, exactly.
He can pass, and that's why I think we're still linked with the RB Leipzig guy, because he loves stepping forward and progressing the passes and even dribbling. Whereas Koulibaly wants to kind of just left foot, right foot, spray it here, spray it there, and just do his job. Do you know what I mean? I don't think I don't want to see Koulibaly stepping into midfield and ending up near the final third and all these things. I don't want to see that because it just doesn't make any sense.
No, yeah, exactly.
So it's either a back four or it's like middle centre back. That would be your preference. But until maybe we sign a more traditional centre back who's left footed to play that left side, and it's not just Cucurella as the option, then he'll probably still have to play a little bit left side centre back as well.
Yeah, Gvardiol, obviously the option that we're linked with. I think that's a very good option as well. But so how would you sort of line up going into this game? I know we've had a huge, congestion in terms of games being played. Can't be playing the same players week in, week out. Got to take care of them. But how are you going into this game? Because for me, the saving grace is the fact that we are already through to the next stage of the Champions League. So we don't really have to have another eye on the following week in terms of the group stage game. Do you know what I mean? I think whatever we put out there, we should have enough to at least get a point. Whatever we get, it doesn't matter. We're through anyway. But would you go strong this weekend?
Oh, yeah, you have to go strong. I mean, you have to go all out. I mean, who do we have after that? Dinamo Zagreb, that's a free hit. You can play anybody in that match. You can rest. Then it's Arsenal. So I don't think that comes at a better time to have a dead rubber. I think to have a dead rubber on match day 6 where you can rest everyone and give your key players a full week, I think that's critical going into the Arsenal game, because from what I understand in their Europa League group, they're qualified and they're through. And obviously, I think they play tonight. I don't know if Arsenal have a midweek fixture next week, or what's going on there. But yeah, we at least get that break. They have Zurich next week. So
we're not playing next week in Europe.
We are, and they are as well. So
okay,
it's the last game, match day 6 of all the groups. But they have a free hit against Zurich, and we have a free hit against Zagreb. So both teams are going to get a week. We're going to have an extra day because we play Saturday, they play Sunday. So for me, you go all out against Brighton, man. We have to win the game. I just don't know what all out looks like, because there's so many players that are in that grey area of like, you're not in form because you haven't done this for 2, 3, 4 matches, but you have done it in the last match to a level, to a degree. So it's like there's a lot of guys that it just depends on Potter in terms of what he feels. Who he feels is going to give him that second game, who he thinks is going to be able to build form from. Because they've all had good games against Salzburg.
Yeah.
Again, apart from Aubameyang, all of those attacking midfielders. But it's like, who do you believe is going to kick on and really go again 2, 3, 4 games? So, because he can't play all of them. He has to pick maybe 2 out of 3 or 4.
Instantly for me, just going back to that Zagreb game, there's several names that picked themselves. Obviously, Trevor, he's got to play for me. Thiago Silva's got to play for me. Kovacic has definitely got to play for me. I thought that was the best game I've seen Kovacic play this season. Yeah. I thought before then he'd been poor and consistently poor, but not entirely down to reasons that are his fault. He's had injury problems with his ankle. We saw, I can't remember which game it was, where he took the picture and his ankle looked like an elephant's foot, bruv. Just like, you know what I mean? He hasn't really had the time to recover, but from what we saw against him, we saw the old Kovacic, the old press-resistant Kovacic, actually the final passes, making it to where it needs to be. And then the cherry on top was the finish. World-class finish that was, man. Instinctive, weaker foot, found top corner. I thought was the more difficult goal between him and Kai Havertz. Lee Gunner thought it wasn't, but it depends. Like, whatever your opinion is, it depends. But he definitely has to start the game for me. Jorginho, who was given man of the match, I will go as far to say this. I thought he had a very good game. Defensively, he was on point. I thought he read the game from a defensive perspective decent as well, cutting off the passing lanes and stuff like that. We saw him foil a lot of potential counter-attacks against Salzburg. I've got to give credit where it's due. You lot know he's not my most favorite player, but I'm always going to give credit where it's due. So if he can turn up to this game with that same kind of mentality or playing how he was in that game, I'd be very happy to see him start.
It's going to be a high tempo game, I feel.
Yeah,
it really is. It's going to be entertaining. Back and forth.
Now, that's my concern with Jorginho, is the fact that there is that physicality of Caicedo in that midfield, McAllister. These are not, soft
Pascal
guys.
Gross
Pascal Gross, I was going to say as well. These are not soft guys. Kovacic still needs to be picked for me, but my thing is now, do we go with the pivot or do we go with the midfield three?
Jorginho's looked more comfortable in the last couple of games with three. When Kovacic came on against United, he looked a lot better. When Kovacic started with him against Salzburg, he looked a lot better. You could go with a Mason Mount, Jorginho, and cover midfield three. You could do that. What have you made of Loftus-Cheek's performances recently?
I thought he's been good. I thought, particularly from a defensive perspective, he has improved. He's not perfect, but I think you can ask him to do a job here and there. I think, and depending obviously on the style of the game and how open it is, I think this could actually be a decent game for him, especially from there's physicality in that midfield. Hard to get him off the ball. We do rely on him to drive the ball forward as well. Although we've got Kovacic to do that, I just feel that Loftus-Cheek's physicality could help us as well, man. Just sort of assure that battle in that midfield, because, like, no disrespect, just what Abdi's saying here, like about Jorginho, no disrespect, but we do know he does sometimes get bypassed a little bit too easy. So we do need some physicality 100% in that midfield, especially if he's starting, just for the sake of his protection as well. So I wouldn't be against it. I really wouldn't.
Higher up the pitch as well, it's like, do you go over Gallagher? I think Gallagher is quietly very good against Salzburg. Did a great job down that right hand side, and he brought some good balance because his crossing is good. I think he put in a really good ball against Brentford, and he put in a couple really good balls in against Salzburg. A great ball in for Kai, which he should have put in the back of the net. I think it could be an underrated weapon with Reece James out of the team. I think Gallagher on the right, because we saw Gallagher also play on the right against Wolves, and he was very good. It was good. So it's a weird zone because he's not a winger, but in Palace, he either played a 10 or he played a right side 8. So he does know those areas quite well.
It seems to be going down that sort of 4-2-2-2 direction.
Yeah.
Personnel.
Yeah. And I think if you are going to go in that direction, then I get what you mean from a mobility standpoint. You don't really put Jorginho maybe at risk there.
Yeah.
But he is, for me, still our best guy build-up wise on the ball in terms of like showing for the ball, creating those triangles. It's a very tough team to pick, bro. I must say, it's a very tough team to pick because Brighton are just a bag of tricks, man. And I feel like they can change formation and system any minute if they want to. They could play a free back. They could play a back three with a 4 and then a 3 in attack. They could go 2 up top with Lallana. I think Lallana played up in a front 2 last game. Correct me if I'm wrong. And press because we know we struggle with 2 up front. We do struggle in a back 3. I've seen it a few times now. It happened against Villa last season with Ings and Watkins. Brentford, they had the 2 obviously, and then even again Villa with the 2. I think they played Watkins and Ings again. So if you go 2 forwards against us when we play a back 3, there is a struggle. If they press properly, there is a struggle to get out. So yeah, I don't know, man. I don't know. It's a tough one, man. I mean, when you look in the comments, everybody's got different teams. It's true. It's not like I'm not even bothered that I can't think of a team because I know it's difficult. And when you look in the chat, everybody's putting in like different midfields, and you just don't know.
I think for me, aside from the certain names for me that pick themselves, the ones I've mentioned, I think we're going in a good direction when we talk about Gallagher, but at the same time, I'd love to play him with Mount, because those two, when they played that sort of free role together, I felt that the understanding that they showed between them was great. They covered each other. They were responsible with their duty. They didn't take the piss. You know what I mean? They was covering covering the channels pretty well. Just coming inside, creating. Mason Mount especially creating pretty well.
I think I'll add, if you're going to play those two, and you're not going to play Kai, and you're not going to play either one of Pulisic or Sterling, then I think you can afford to play potentially Jorginho and Kova together, because we know their relationship is very good in a double pivot. They've had a lot of experience together, and you can afford to leave Loftus-Cheek out, because you know Gallagher and Mount are going to get back, and they are going to cover the ground, and it could go in defensively. You could move to a 4-4-2, and you could move a Pulisic or Sterling to half press with Aubameyang or Armando Broja, because I think Armando Broja could even have a shout in this one as well. Aubameyang's finishing wasn't great against Salzburg, and I think Broja's really done himself a lot of good in the cameos he's made. Yeah. And you know, from a off the ball standpoint, he's probably got a bit more energy. If they are to kind of start on the front foot, he loves to run into space anyway. We've seen that. He's very comfortable,
he's rapid as well.
Bro, he's so rapid. You know what? One thing people don't talk about enough is on the counter that he had against Brentford. Yeah, he should have found Mount, and then he ends up putting across on Kai. If he's a little bit more not flat-footed, he might get a tap in, really. I think that's probably my most frustrating thing out of that move, is not that he didn't find Mount, is that Kai didn't put the tap in and he didn't touch it. Armando Broja's pace is rapid, bro. His pace, it was nuts. Like he had that Haaland kind of burst, really, if I'm honest. It was that quick.
I reckon he's quicker than him. I'm not gonna, because he was the first time I've seen him do this. The first time I ever saw him really like put the burners on was when he was on national duty.
But you know what? When a big guy runs,
but the thing is that sometimes, if you see with big guys, sometimes you look at them and you don't think they're running fast because their strides are long.
Yeah.
But you see,
like a Sterling, it's like,
you can. But you see, when he takes off, you can see like the acceleration is ridiculous. He's so quick, man. So exciting player.
I'm excited. Whenever he plays, I'm not gonna lie, I'm excited to see him.
He rolls back the clock for me. He's got that Diego Costa thing.
I'm very excited to see him, man. I'm not gonna lie. I had my reservations on him, about overhyping him as well, because obviously he's playing in the position that is the most ruthless in Chelsea history. Yeah. And especially when Roman was the owner, I thought, you know what? Let's just be keeping it a buck. He ain't making it. Do you know what I mean? Let's just keep it a buck. He ain't making it, because like Roman loves a number 9. He loves a Torres, a Shevchenko, something fresh, something new. He loved, like, if there's one place he was going to splash peas, it's always the striker. He loves it. Yeah. He's never going to give a striker 2-3 years to develop and shit. It's just not going to happen. And you saw even with I actually think, as well as Abraham did with the 15 goals, I'm more excited about Broja now that I've seen him in the first team, just because he seems to have more control over his body. You know, when I think
he's the better football player.
All-round footballer.
Better player. 100%.
Like, do you know what? Abraham can be techie. Like, you can see he does his little flicks and stuff, and he can. But for me, he didn't have enough control over his body. Mm-hmm. Like, he didn't. His aerial ability wasn't as good as it should be for his size. He fell over a lot. Like, it felt like he was almost too tall. Yeah, you know what I mean. He couldn't even it just didn't feel like he had complete control. Whereas Broja's he's a little bit more stocky, and he just seems to just be very like assured in his presence and where his limitations are or whatever. So I like the look of him, man. And even though I know when I watch him, he's going to make an error and he's going to make a mistake. It's not like a Timo Werner mistake where I'm like, oh, for fuck's sake. Do you know what I mean? It's more like, all right, fair enough. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, you know he's going to get over it. Like, what was the last game he started for us in the Prem? Who did we play?
He started against Brentford.
That's it. 2 opportunities, he was in the box under no pressure, and he turned on the outside instead of turning inside and shooting.
Yeah. And he put the ball across the box. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I found myself getting annoyed. I said, he's a kid still. He's going to have to learn. That's something that, you know, after the game, they're going to show him. on the video.
But you know what? Yeah, he could have had an assist in that game. He could have had a couple.
He was robbed
assists.
of one. Yeah,
He was robbed of an assist because the ball he played across the box, although it wasn't the decision everybody wanted, it was the decision that still was a decent one that could have led to a goal. If people were ready for the ball and they were on their toes, ready for the pass, and they knew what was going to happen, it's not like they were offside or anything. Then it could have been an easy tap in. So I think he's getting there. Obviously, against Wolves, the finish was nuts. It's a great pass from Cover. But yeah, man, I like him, man. I was worried when he was reportedly looking to go to West Ham because I was like, bro, where are you really going? There's a big slot here, number 9 slot waiting for you. Where are you running to? And it was like over the summer, it was very like up in the air whether he would stay and is he going to get his chance? Because in preseason we didn't really see him, did we? Did we see him?
No, we didn't. Apparently, it was Todd Bowley that convinced him. Yeah, Thomas Tuchel didn't mind seeing him go out for loan or even leave the club. Apparently, that's what we.
It was it's mixed reporting because apparently Tuchel liked him, but he didn't want to go back out on loan, maybe as well. And then on top of, because I think Tuchel wanted Lewandowski or something, and he wanted.
Yeah, he did.
So yeah, it was, I don't know, man. That summer was just weird, man. There's just too much shit going on. But yeah, no, I do think he can bring a lot to the table. So I don't know. He could start the game, to be honest. But I do like your Gallagher Mount thing off the right, especially if you're playing Aspie in a back 4 on the right back. But also you could go back 3 and you could play Ruben at right wing back and tuck him in, and then you've got your midfield 3 there.
Yeah.
So, and then your Cucurella is like your outlet on the left, who kind of just gives you the width because it obviously doesn't have to be symmetrical both sides. So you've got options, man. I mean, I could easily see him going Ruben to deal with Trossard and maybe try and bully him in that way instead of going Aspie, who could maybe get tired and with Trossard, because Trossard's the big problem on the left, isn't he? Cutting in on the right.
That's what I mean. And against Brentford, I believe Aspilicueta really struggled with whoever it was on that right side.
Yeah, he got ripped, bro. He got ripped.
So I'm saying, I wouldn't want to see him lined up against Trossard. So I think that's a good shout. Should we have a look? Let's try and come up with a team for this weekend before we end the stream. So what are we going with? Back 4, back 5?
That Trossard thing's put me in a difficult position because I was all in favor with like a 4-2-3-1, Aspie right back and whatever, but Trossard is Trossard is a problem, man. I think I would go to the back 3 because I think they'll play a back 3. So I'd probably match them to play it safe, and then we'll see first 10 minutes who wants to blink first. Do you know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Trevor, Silva, maybe Koulibaly if he's fit. If not, Cucurella. I think it could be either or. If it is Cucurella left side centre back, then there's a case to say not to play Chilwell because that hasn't really worked. Yeah. And maybe go with a winger like a Sterling at left wing back and tell him to push forward. If it is Koulibaly, then left wing back could be Chilwell, could be Cucurella, I don't know. So those are kind of like dependent on whether Koulibaly's fit or not. And then midfield, I'd probably go. So then at right wing back, I'd probably look at Ruben for Trossard. I'm not gonna lie, and then he could tuck in as well and make it a 3-man midfield with Jorginho and Cover. And then you've got Mason, Armando Bro. Yeah, I'm gonna go. I'm gonna start.
We need 3 points in this game. I
don't know. Yeah, because you've got Zagreb as well, and Broch is probably going to start that. You got Zagreb.
That's what I'm saying, and I'm not saying that Broja won't do well, but in terms of experience and you're trying.
But you know what? Something tells me in this game that Jorginho is not the right choice.
I'm worried about this. Is what I'm saying.
This is what I'm saying. If I could have it my way, Casemiro or someone in this midfield, I'd throw them in against Brighton straight away. I just don't feel comfortable. I feel like it could go brilliantly or it could go very, very poorly. Because I know Pascal Gross and Calcedo and Trossard and Lallana and whoever else, like there's just too many options in there.
These man put in a shift and they're press beasts as well, bro. And Jorginho don't like being pressed on his first touch. He does not like it. And that's my concern. That protection around him's got to be on point. And for me, I'm going to have to agree with you. Loftus-Cheek is going to have to come in as that right wing back because now also gives you the
But then
option of
who are
him
we going to play
tucking
in midfield then? In the pivot? You leave because you don't have the option to go anybody else then, really. It's only Ruben that can play in the pivot. I wouldn't start Mendy. I'd keep Kepa. 100%.
I don't like the pivot of Kovacic and Jorginho. I think it's quite unbalanced. But then what pairing?
I don't think it's perfectly
have?
balanced, no. But due to who we have available, it's a bit. This is the thing. If we had a right wing back, then maybe you could just move Ruben in, and we wouldn't be having this convo. And if we had a DM, then again we wouldn't be having the convo. But these are the two areas really in January where we have to address. We have to get a DM, and we have to get another right-sided player to cover for Reece James. These are the two biggest weaknesses in the squad right now. If you want me to be completely honest, they're the two biggest weaknesses because we don't have a proper deputy for Reece James, and we don't have a proper deputy.
I saw two
DM.
decent candidates last night. One, thankfully, we linked to
Frimpong,
Edson Alvarez. I thought he was good considering the scoreline in that. I thought he was one of their positive players. I thought he done well in that first half. The second one for that right side, Pedro Porro. That guy at South Sporting doesn't look too bad. Right wing back. But then I heard that Man City apparently got a buyback on him. I didn't even know he was a Man City player, but he looks all right. Livramento,
nah, not for me.
Yeah,
I love Livramento, but I wouldn't bring him back now. He's had a massive injury.
He's not played since, has he?
No. We need somebody who's fit. Can't be bringing in any more players with massive injuries on the.
Ironic.
Can't be bringing in any more players off the back of a massive injury. We just did that with Fofana, and obviously, unfortunately, Fofana's injured, but that's not a correlation of. It's not linked, but it's just you just want. Do you know what it is? I just want players that availability is one of their abilities. Do you know what I mean? I just want players that I know they seem to have a brilliant track record of fitness. Like even Aubameyang, he's got a great track record of being fit. If you look at his career, he barely missed any games.
Yeah.
Same for Mason Mount, looking like having a great track record of being fit. Aspilicueta, great. I need more of these guys because we can't keep buying players who potentially could get big injuries or are more susceptible to big injuries because it's long, man. It's very long. So those are the two areas in January for me we have to sort out. They're limiting the team. Aspilicueta limits the team from a build-up perspective. His build-up play in Man United was very poor. He was, like you said, he was getting skinned against Brentford, and then the DM position goes without saying because there's not enough options.
Yeah, it's a must. So we've gone with the back three. I
don't even like the team that I'm reading out.
I know. So we've gone with Chilwell as if
because I don't think Ruben was great against Man United. He gave the ball away a lot.
Yeah, he did, and that's my concern about.
But it's not even like.
That's my concern about him playing that pivot on a consistent basis.
But if he plays in that pivot with the changed mindset that he has this season of being more defensively reliable and a little bit more defensively switched on and reserved, because I feel like his days of being a box-to-box 8 is maybe disappearing because of the rises of Mason and Carney and all these other guys coming through, even if we was to be linked with Bellingham. Whereas Ruben's days of those are kind of gone. He's older now. So you could say, okay, listen, I need you to be a little bit more over them senior restricted figures. But if you're going to have Ruben in that pivot, you have to pair him up with a proper traditional DM, like a Casemiro. If you had a Casemiro-Ruben pivot, I don't think it would be too bad. But I don't feel like the partner's there for him to really play there and for me to be 100% sure that it's going to work every time. So I don't particularly know with that midfield, man. I think for me, I'm gonna have to put NA on that midfield.
Yeah, exactly. I'm not sure. Anything I'll be throwing in would just be for the sake of throwing that name in because I can't think of anything right now. So now we move to that front three. This also can tie in with the midfield if you do put Mason there because he also does like to drop deep and help out with the midfield. He has been operating from a lot more of a deeper role under Graham Potter. I think he's been enjoying that a lot more than what he has been previously, and we've seen the rewards of it. I
can't settle on a team, bro. Because you know what? You said 3, and you know what I would love to do against Brighton, even though it's very ballsy, is to go with the 2 wingers that we went with against Salzburg, Pulisic and Sterling, and push their wing backs back, and make them defend with a 5 and pack them and try and overload them like that. Because when we started with the 2 wingers, it gave so many options to whoever was playing. If it's Mason that plays there, probably will be. Because Kai looked a lot better, but it's also because he was surrounded. Do you know what I'm saying? If we have those 2 wingers and we push back the wing backs, then you're not maybe thinking about those other issues that we just spoke about.
I'm just my only concern with that is that we're gonna have to be clinical as fuck because Brighton are gonna hit us on the counter and they are gonna get chances. That's my only thing. Because I don't think we should cower. I do think we should be brave, and I see what you're saying, bruv.
I mean, like I said, if you're going with that back 3, you've got to go Sterling or Pulisic at left wing back. Really,
that's what I mean.
You have to, because otherwise we're gonna get penned in. You're gonna pen yourself in too much for me.
Personally, I'm trusting Pulisic.
Yeah, I think Pulisic was good. First 20 minutes, he was taking people on. He was showing bravery. I feel like right now, Pulisic's been playing better than Sterling. I feel like Pulisic
based on form. Certainly,
I think Pulisic does deserve to start, and I think Pulisic's and he was involved in the second goal. I think he does deserve to start. He's when he gets the ball, he's going straight at his man, straight away.
Yeah.
And I do think that's needed in the team. Someone was saying about Amari Hutchinson. I think I would love to see him play against Zagreb off the bench. I feel like we're in a manager's meeting. Do you know when these coaches must sit down and have their meeting?
Yeah,
they're just like Bruno and Potter just sitting there like, yo, we should do this. But he's like, nah, because what about Marsh on the right and Trossard, and what if they play Lallana in the pocket? But what if
selection headache?
Selection headache is nuts, bro. Do you know what it is with Brighton? They just got so many players that they could play, and you just don't know who they're gonna put on, because I haven't seen Lallana much this season. I don't think he's been playing, has he? But now he's back. I don't know whether they're going to start Lallana or not. And I think that changes the dynamic, because a little bit that gives them a little bit more of a playmaker in there. Let me see who they played against City. Against City, Lallana did play, and they played with Welbeck. They played with Pascal Gross in the 10, Caicedo and McAllister, and Trossard and Marsh on the wing backs. We know they're going to play with a back 3, but do we? Because they played with a back 4 against Brentford, and they played a 4-4-2.
Yeah, you can't guess this Brighton team, bro. They were the same when.
That's what I'm saying. Pascal Gross could play in the front too. He could. They played a 4-4-2 against Brentford, and they created a lot of chances that game. And then the game, and then obviously Nottingham Forest, I think they drew 0-0. They played a back 3. They played a 3-4-2-1. And they dropped Lallana. So this is what I'm saying. They could press with 2, or they could drop one of their second strikers into the second phase where we do our build up, and they'll just sit them there and tell them to wait. So, but they could do that. They could interchange that. That doesn't need to be set in stone, really. You could do that in game. You don't need to. So it just depends. I think they'll suss out whether we can build out from the back properly or not, and then they'll decide with that second striker whether they push them back and make it a 4 in midfield. You know, where we do our 4-2-2-2.
Yeah,
we go with our double pivot, and then we go with our 2 attacking midfielders, and we make it a 4 to try and outnumber. Now, that's what I'm worried. If we don't do that, we'll get outnumbered in midfield.
That's my thing. And
when you did mention the 4-2-2-2, I think you could see how that makes sense, because you don't want to get outnumbered in midfield and go 3v4, say. Because forget who plays. That's long, really. And I think Tottenham did that, didn't they? When they played Brighton, was it when they played Brighton? Yeah. And when Tottenham played Brighton, they beat them 1-0, and they did actually stop them from creating a lot of chances in that game, from what I remember. At least in the first half. Let me see. No, they still have 14 shots. 14 shots, 4 on target, but they stopped Trossard. They did stop Trossard.
Done their job.
And they packed the midfield. They went 3-5-2, and they packed the midfield. They had Bentancur, Højbjerg, and Basuma all playing. They packed the midfield.
This is a question, actually. Interesting now. That goalkeeping position. Because, look.
I'd still keep Kepa. I know the goal conceded, you could say, should he have... I question this.
That's not my concern about
I know.
Kepa.
Corners. Yeah,
it's not just that. It's my concern with Kepa is more from the mental perspective. It's because he goes on these runs where he plays fantastic. But when he starts to make mistakes, more and more start to creep in at a frequent rate. Now that tells me something about up here. My thing is if he's if he's good enough to start 100%, it's just mentally up here. Is he ready to start this game? And now going back to what you were saying,
I'd say
physicality of the set pieces and all that, bro. I can't lie to you, bro. I would feel comfortable, particularly in this game.
Oh, because you've got Webster.
Yes, this is what I'm trying to say. Once they crowd that goalkeeper for the corners, and you know with Chelsea, bruv, yeah,
I hate this fixture.
You know with us, you see, once we concede the corner, the corner, it's never just one, it's two, it's three. We get pressured. This is why
you're making me question everything now.
Yeah, the presence in the box for this game is going to be key, bruv, because they're going to just stick their men and crowd Kepa that entire time if they're going to be putting in high balls.
I don't know how that goalkeeper is at Porto on set pieces. I watched the game against Bayer Leverkusen last week. He was very, very good. His ball playing ability is ridiculous. He had an assist and he saved the penalty as well. His shot stopping looked good. I haven't watched
United are looking at him as well.
Yeah. He's been, because Portugal, that's where Edison came out of Portugal, isn't it? These Portuguese Brazilian goalkeepers, I'm telling you, you gotta keep an eye on them, man. They're the next ones up.
Yeah, you see this as well. Like,
this is what I'm saying. But is Koulibaly ready? Is he ready? If he's ready for me, then yeah.
Yeah, and that's the thing. That's another thing. If Cucurella is stepping into that as the third centre back, I have to have Mendy in there. I have to.
Dropping, I don't think he's not dropping Kepa though.
It's more from a tactical perspective, because if they do overload that box and start to put in balls, and our most vulnerable time.
But is Mendy going to do the other things properly as well? If we're going to play out from the back with a Brighton press,
yeah,
and Mendy's there taking 2-3 touches when he receives the ball, and then what Danny Welbeck's pressing the fucking blitz out of him from.
Comment, chat, what do we do? This has been one of the most difficult games I've had to really look at. Like, there's so many tactical angles that, oh my days, bro.
Bro, this game is impossible to be perfect for. You just have to pray. It's impossible. I've gone through about 5 or 6 scenarios in my head, whether it's about the 4 in midfield versus the 3, if you go with the double pivot. I've gone through Ruben versus Trossard, or Azpilicueta at the back 4 and Trossard pushing up. I've gone with just play 2 wingers and push their wing backs back. I've gone from build-up play and Koulibaly from a set-piece standpoint. I've gone from Broja versus Aubameyang. I've gone from Pulisic being better than Sterling, but somebody in the chat saying Sterling works harder off the ball than Pulisic. I've gone with Gallagher on the right wing for the crossing and maybe push Trossard back and actually maybe defend Trossard as well. I think for me, I'm walking into this solution in my head right now as I'm talking to you. I think Gallagher has to play, I think Gallagher has to play. I can't lie to you. For me. I think Gallagher on the right has to be a thing. I don't know how, but it has to happen because the guy's crossing is there. The guy's off the ball work rate is there. The guy could chip in with a goal, maybe as well. But I'm more thinking just for the balance of the team on that right hand side because I don't want to see Azpilicueta, if I'm honest, versus Trossard, but I don't mind seeing Gallagher help Trevor on that side. I've seen enough good performances from Gallagher on the right side of the pitch, wherever it is, for me to say, yeah.
Yeah, so I'm just not going to give a predictive formation. We're going to be here for like the next couple hours. But okay, we're just going to move on from that. Let's go on to something slightly easier. Score prediction. I'll start. I'll make it easy for you. I'll start. I'm going to go, with 2-1 Chelsea. I think we're actually going to get 3 points. I reckon we're going to go 2-1 Chelsea.
I know you mean that because you said 1-1 against Man United and you were right. And I tried to guilt trip you into it. I tried to get you gassed. I was like, "Yo, Guni, come with me." Even though I knew in my head as well 1-1. But I was like, "Nah, fuck it, I'm going 2-1." Because Rance was saying 2-0 to Man United. It's got a draw written all over it, hasn't it?
Oh, mate, don't say
it has, bro. I'm not gonna lie. It has. And you know what? It could even be worse. I don't know, bro. It could go either way, bro.
It hurts because I can't even argue with what you're saying. Bro,
it's a proper tactical battle. This is going to be one of the most fascinating tactical battles of the season. I'm telling you, because it's just that good. I'm telling you, the football should be good. The tactical battle will be intense. I can't tell you what formation we should play, what team we should play. Brighton fans, I don't know what they're gonna tell me. I'm talking to a Brighton fan tomorrow, most likely, because I'm not. Do you know what? I'm not even doing the preview on my own. I usually do a preview, but we've spent an hour. We don't even know what we're doing.
Yeah, bro. Still big question mark.
What am I gonna say? Nah, man, it's long. It's long.
It's in God's hands. That's Matisse's prediction. Mine is 2-1. Matisse said it's in God's hands. Hopefully God is with us on that day. Yeah, because I cannot take it. I'm not going back again or anywhere I need to go with no W in the Prem, especially with Newcastle in fourth place, and Manchester United with a point just behind us. We need them 3 points. That is non-negotiable. That's one thing that we do know. But Matisse, thank you for joining me on the channel once again. I appreciate that. Hopefully we will get a result against Brighton. But before we go, let the people know what you've got up on your channel or what you've got coming up later on.
For me, I've got a video I just put out in terms of where is Zakaria and Ziyech, discussing whether we will ever see these players and whether they're just not suited for the style of play and the football that we're trying to play. So that collaboration is there with Nini. For me as well, what else do we have? I need to get a trim, so keep your eye out on the Instagram live for me flexing the new trim if that happens. Big 6s later, Expressions will be on replacing Toby. That is going to be mad because obviously he's very angry with his goal that wasn't given against Sporting Lisbon. So I have to make sure I have energy for Expressions later on.
Yeah, please make sure.
I have to. As much as I want to, I've got a career mode that I'm meant to be getting back to as well on FIFA. Sorry, that hasn't happened yet on YouTube, but that's coming. That will probably happen on Saturday morning.
You don't even want to know what happened to my PlayStation, you know.
What, you smash it up?
I dropped it when I was rearranging the room, and
my god.
Yeah, and the HDMI kind of disheveled the port inside the PlayStation. So now I've got to send it off to Sony. Luckily it's in warranty though. It's still in warranty in it. So
yeah, you're lucky.
Sony. They're gonna have to send that back, but I'll go wait 30 days, bro.
Oh my god, bro. Jesus.
Yeah, but good thing my son's got the Xbox though. But
that's mad. That is mad. So yeah, man, I can't even tell you what's gonna happen, but just know that content's coming out in it. It's as simple as that. Toby's not on Big 6, guys. He's not gonna be on
Expressions.
It's Expressions.
Listen, cook him. Yeah, the last minute celebrations where I was watching it live. Cook him. He deserves it, bruv. Yeah. But big up X though all day, every day. It's all love. Yeah, big up everybody that is in the chat as well. Appreciate you lot support, man. Thanks for showing out. Also, as well, coming up to 14k subscribers. Yeah. Help us get there. Share the platform, share the thing, smash the like. Leave your thoughts in the comments. That's how you get us up in the algorithm. You get me? So our game's Saturday, innit?
3 o'clock kickoff. I don't know why it's not live.
If I'm not working, people, if my expertise is not required in the engineering field of New York City, yeah, as I put so elegantly, I will be doing a watch along. I've missed doing those. I haven't done one so far. Work has absolutely slaughtered me, but you get me, man. After work, got to put food on the table for the family and them things there, and for yourself. You get me? But people, big up yourselves, man, wherever you are. Whatever you are doing, please make sure you do it safely. You get me? And up the Chels. Peace.